Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. This is episode 24, I believe. I am Cristi. I am wife to Ron and mother to daughters Tatum, who is 12, and Delaney, who is 9. I am a fairly recent transplant to the Denver area of Colorado, and I love it here. I'm slightly skewed from the way I normally am because we've been having some rain and it's overcast and cloudy outside, and so I'm hoping to get a little bit more natural light from the window. And yeah, so I do apologize for the slight glare on my glasses, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, we had a hailstorm yesterday, which I never experienced before. I went to Red Robin to pick up our dinner. We were having kind of a lazy day, and so I didn't cook. And when I did one of those to-go orders, so you sit outside and you call, and then they bring the food out to you. And it was slightly raining when I got there, and I was feeling a little bit guilty about asking these people to come out and bring me my food in the rain. But then I thought, I have a couple of bucks here extra, as an extra tip, and so I can just give that to them to kind of make up for having to come out in the rain. But as I was waiting, it started to hail, and I was like, no, my conscience will not let me ask these people to come out in a hailstorm. So I ran inside and got the food and was on my way out, and the hail got worse, and I ended up being stuck in the the welcome area of the restaurant, waiting for the storm to kind of die down. Not only was there massive amounts of, about pea-size hail, maybe some of the rocks were like kidney bean size, but then there was lightning, and a lot of lightning, and so I hung out for a while, and then when it looked like it wasn't going to get any better, I went ahead and took my chances and ran outside. But that drive home, I haven't had to have my windshield wipers on high ever back home. And I had to, and luckily I was only about a half a mile away from home, but when we got the lightning, it light up the entire sky, and then not a second later, you have, like thunder so strong that you feel the vibration of it. I mean, that's crazy. We obviously have rain and lightning and thunder back in California, but it's one of those things that's kind of like far away, and you might see a little flash every once in a while and hear a little distant thunder, but this was so close, and the rain was so hard, and there was still, hail coming down, and I pulled into the parking lot of my complex, and it was flooding. The parking lot was flooding, and so running inside the house, my feet were drenched, and I was drenched. I mean, just coming from the car to the front door, I was wet, and so yeah, I had to change out of my socks and put on a new pair of socks, and all this kind of stuff. So it was quite an adventure. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it was an adventure nonetheless. Anyway, as I said, my name is Cristi. You can find me on Ravelry as Cristi-Lael, and on Instagram as Cristi-Lael without the dash. We also have a Relatively Crafty Podcast group on Ravelry, where we talk about our knitting, and we talk about whatever we want to talk about. There's an Introduce Me thread, there's an Ask Me Anything thread, where you can ask me any questions that you want. We have giveaways periodically, and we are currently having a knit-along. It is a summer sweater knit-along where you knit something that is kind of a lighter weight, something that's meant to be worn during the warmer months, something that's airy and lacy. It can be knit out of any weight yarn, and it can be any pattern you want, as long as you can justify it as a summery type sweater. You obviously don't want something that's heavy and heavily cabled and with a collar up to here and sleeves down to here, because that's obviously meant for, cold, to keep you really, really warm in the cold. So yeah, that KAL started on May 1st and is going until June 15th. And I'm running that with Sarah of the Canadian Knitter Podcast. So when you make your sweater, make sure that you post in my FO thread in my group and in Sarah's group, because you want to have a chance to win at both places. And I have some prizes for that, and Sarah has some prizes for her FO thread, and yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the knitting. I have lots of things to show you today. If you are new to the podcast, then let me explain that I, at least for this year, 2017, am trying to make all of my sock projects start and end in the month, in the same month. So I try to have everything finished by the end of, by the last day of the month, and then I start all new sock projects after the first day of the month. So last week I was talking about how I needed to knit my mom a pair of socks for Mother's Day, and I had just started them, and I was saying how I needed to get them done before this week's podcast in order to get them in the mail to California, to make it there by Mother's Day. And I did finish those socks in time. These are my own sock recipe, which I have as a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called Kristi's Stripy Sock Recipe, but as you can tell, you don't need to use stripy sock yarn in order to knit them. This yarn is Lolo Did It in her plush sock. The colorway is Hippo for Easter. I have taken it upon myself to purchase and knit each of Lauren's Hippo for the Holidays skeins this year. And so I did Hippo for Valentine's Day and Hippo for St. Patty's and then Hippo for Easter. I also have Hippo for Cinco that I showed you guys last week, and then I just made an order yesterday or the day before for Hippo for Mom. And so I don't know what's going to be the next Hippo for the holidays skein, but I do have two now that I'll need to be knitting up here pretty soon. So anyway, Hippo for Easter, as I said, it's got it's a lot more muted than the other two that I have made in the past, but it's kind of nice. It's subtle, which is kind of nice. It's got blue and pink and green and yellow speckles in it, and these are, as I said, for my mom for Mother's Day. So I'm going to add it to the package and get it shipped out tomorrow. And I think that she will like those. Oh, and I forgot to say that I do knit this slightly different than my free pattern. I do my pattern toe up using the Turkish cast on, and then in the pattern I do an afterthought heel. But here I've done a fish lips kiss heel, which is what I like to do if I'm not using stripy sock yarn, because there's no reason to do an afterthought heel if I can just do it through with the fish lips kiss heel and then not have those extra ends. The afterthought heel is perfect for stripes because you can keep the continuity of the stripes going, but for something like this, a speckled yarn or a variegated yarn or a solid yarn, a fish lips kiss heel works just as well. That is the only FO that I have to show you today. Those of you who follow the podcast know that I am knitting a wee mini sock representation of all of the full-size socks that I make this year, but I had already made that mini sock last week, so it's already done. So I have that, so that is the only FO, but I do have a hoe, a half-finished object, and that is this right here. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen it this morning. I'm very proud of it. I think it's gorgeous. This yarn is hand-dyed by Kate in her sock set, which is a smaller put-up of yarn. So you get a main skein and a matching heel-toe skein. The heel-toe skein is 20 grams. But the main skein is only 50 grams, so you're only getting 70 grams total, but that is plenty to knit a pair of socks, especially if you're somebody like me who is very keen on knitting a bunch of Rose City rollers to wear during the summer months. So I had mentioned when I was talking about my May sock plans that this was going to be one of the Rose City rollers that I made. And so after I finished my mom's socks, I went ahead and cast on for one, and I finished the first sock this morning. And I love it. The colorway is Hatchling. and it's just this tonal blue and a tonal yellow for the heels and toes. It's a perfect Easter spring colorway. The socks are happy and bright, and I absolutely love them. I can't wait to knit the second one. I haven't started it yet, but I will very soon. I have it in my Erin Lane bag. You can see I also have the leftovers from the Hippo for Easter's socks that I made for my mom, which I'm going to use to make another pair of Rose City rollers. So I have those separated into 2 equal balls, so I can knit until I run out. And then I have this little Lolo, which is a 20 gram mini which is a 20 gram mini that Lauren sells on her shop in the colorway Elba Island, which complements the blue in the Hippo for Easter perfectly. So this will be another pair that I'll start here probably in this next week. And then I have the leftovers of the Hatchling, which I will use to make the second sock. And while I have my Erin Lane sheeple bag out, I wanted to tell you about something that I just recently discovered. And you guys are probably thinking, well, Christy, you're a Diffendorfer. How did it take you that long to clue in on this? But I did just recently discover it. I noticed that these bags have this little handle here, and I often use bags that have big handles like this that you can stick your hand through and knit, knit like that, and just, you knit. This is the You So and So bag, by the way, if you are not familiar. And so when I was looking at this at the Interweave Yarn Fest, I was like, I can't put my hand through there. I wonder what I'm going to do. Well, I like the sheeple enough. Look at those. This is Doctor Who sheeples. That, it'll be worth it to have it. And even if I just keep it as a bag for home, that's fine. I really like it. Then I clued in on what you can use this for. And I don't know if this is the intended use, but it is now my intended use. It comes open, right? It has a snap. I can attach that to my belt loop, and then my bag is just sitting at my waist. Or my purse, I carry a messenger bag purse, and it's got these big metal rings that attach the handle to the bag. I can loop this on there as well, and then my knitting bag is attached to my purse. And it's perfect. Like, I'm thinking of, I need to find somebody who can do this to all of my knitting bags, because this is amazing. It's such a great idea. Don't get me wrong, I still like the ones that I can put around my wrist, but it's really convenient when I can just have it hang in there and not have to worry about it getting in the way of my hands when I'm trying to do things other than knit. So anyway, there you go, Erin Lane bag. And I will of course link her shop down below. I'll link it in the stash acquisitions portion, although I did buy that bag several weeks ago. And so now we can get into whips, and I have another bag that I'm absolutely in love with. This is my other You So and So bag. This is her medium bag. I was telling you last week that I bought this for my birthday, and that Sarah at You So and So was so awesome to size it down into the medium bag size, because that's what I use the most for my sock projects. And she put a foppish ferret on it, and she matched his little waistcoat and hat and cane and pipe with the chartreuse that's on the vines here on the back. And I just absolutely love this bag, guys, so much. But inside of it is my other sock whip, and that is this bright, brilliant thing right here. This is spun right round in her blender colorway, and I was a little bit hesitant to purchase this because I have often been disappointed in the way heavily variegated skeins knit up. They end up looking really pooly, and it never seems to work out for me. And and I don't want you to misunderstand me. I do like certain types of pooling. When you get those big pools where it goes all the way down the sock, and it's just like this one big glob of color. I love that. But I get like weird micro striping, and where it's like two colors that just keep going one row and the next, which I don't like, and so I'm always hesitant to purchase heavily variegated skeins. And that's one of the reasons why I knit stripy socks so much, was because I didn't have to worry about that. They always came out self-striping, which I love. But I just couldn't pass this skein up. It was so gorgeous. It's brilliant, bright colors, highlighter yellow and neon orange and pink and green and blue, and there's some purple where the colors meld together, and I just loved it. And so I took a chance. I'm so glad that I did, because look at how great this is turning out. The toe is all mottled, which is perfect. I love it when it comes out mottled. But then the foot is turning into kind of like a spiral striper, which is awesome. I get the yellow in its own stripe, and then kind of the pink, white, and green in its own stripe, and I totally love it. I'm getting close to the point. If you guys recall from past discussions on my socks, I have taken to increasing up to 60 and then going about mid-foot and then increasing on the bottom of the foot by 2 stitches. And I'm getting close to that point, and I know that that's going to change the way that it works up, but I'm hoping that I will like it just as much when I get to that point. But yeah, just really, really loving the way this colorway is working up, and I love how bright and happy these socks are. So there's that. And then I have one more whip to show you. That is in my other You Sew and Sew bag. I've been using her bags a lot lately because they are so very awesome, and this is really the only bag that I have that will hold this much yarn. This is her jumbo sized bag, and it's got 6 full skeins and a sweater in here. So, well, part of a sweater. Anyway, so yeah, love this bag. And this is my contribution to the summer sweater KAL. I am knitting Lakeshore by Alicia Plummer, which is just a really nice, simple, beachside type of a covering. You'd wear it if you went, well, in Colorado they don't have oceans, obviously, because it's a landlocked state, but back in California I would take this with me if I went to the beach, and then in the evening when the sun came down and it started to get chillier, this is what I would wear. But here I would wear it on a day like today where it's overcast and cold and rainy. But here's how far I've gotten so far. I had told you last week that I really wanted to separate the sleeves, and you can see that I have done that, so I have done pretty well. This star stitch marker is where I was last week. So I have added just about 2 rows. I'm a little bit over halfway on the blue row, and so I'll be transferring to the gray row in a little bit. And yeah, I'm just really pleased with how it's working out. It's supposed to be kind of oversized, have positive ease, so it seems to be working up that way. And yeah, it's fun and easy, and the stripes really make it very enjoyable, and you want to just get to the next stripe and get to the next stripe. So I don't think I'm going to have a problem finishing this up in May, which is good because I still have to knit my mom's sweater, as I mentioned last week, and I have to have that at least partially done, at least halfway done by the beginning of July. So feeling pretty good about my sweater progress this week. And so that's all the whips that I have. So now let's talk a little bit about future knitting. I know I mentioned my mom's sweater, but I'm not going to really get into that one yet. I want to make some more plans before I start talking about that. But I I did ask you guys last week which Desert Vista dye works I should knit up next. I had the Frederick orange and gray striper, and then I had the Monopoly, which is this one. And I think that you could probably guess by the fact that I'm holding this one up and not the other that this is the one that won the vote. And I'm really happy that it did. As I thought more and more about it, I got more and more excited about knitting these socks. I love the idea of mismatched socks, and these are going to be perfect. If you weren't here last week, this is this is a 50-gram skein, and it is in the colors of the Monopoly board, the Monopoly game, and so it's got all the bright, brilliant colors of the game board. And then this is another 50-gram skein, and it is all the colors of the Monopoly money. So so the idea is you have one sock that's Monopoly money and one sock that's the Monopoly board, and yeah, so this I'm going to be winding up here pretty soon, and I will be casting it on sometime in May. I've got to have it finished for the Desert Vista Dye Works 3rd annual sock of the month club. So yeah, these will be my May socks for that knit along. And I guess the only thing that is left is stash acquisitions. Seems like this is going to be a much shorter podcast this week, which is strange. Thought I'd have more to say, but feeling a little discombobulated. Ron is home from work today. They are paving our the road out in front of our complex, and he had a doctor's appointment this morning, and when we came back, we found out that he can't drive in or out, so he can't go to work. I'm feeling kind of off, because I normally would have already recorded before now, and he's downstairs, and yeah, it's just weird to have him home on a Tuesday. Nice, but weird. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into what I purchased. I only have 2 skeins, and they were both purchases that I made on my birthday last week. Oh, I should tell you guys, I went to Knit Night last week, and they were so awesome. They had one of the gals there, Jen, had baked a cake. It was a yummy, yummy cake. I'll post a picture of me with the cake. And it was just really nice. We just hung around, and everybody wished me happy birthday, and we talked and knit, and it was just a really nice end of my birthday. It was very, very pleasant. It was the best way that I could have spent my birthday evening. Honestly, I just really, really enjoyed it. And then before then, some of my other knitting friends met me at the used bookstore, and we went and got some lunch. And it was just a really nice day. It was very low key, but it was a nice day, and I ended the day feeling happy and at peace. And that's really, what else could you want for your birthday? So anyway, while I was at the yarn shop on Tuesday, I thought, well, I need to buy myself birthday yarn, because your birthday only comes one day a year, right? So I picked up this amazing skein of Hue Loco yarn. I have been eyeing it for a while now, and I finally broke down and got it, and I'm so glad I did. It's so gorgeous. This is her Phyllis sock, which is 7525 merino blend. It has 463 yards, and the colorway is Lucky Charm, and it's mostly like this blue-green, and then there's some of this gorgeous chartreusey green in here, and then there's just some speckles, some green and purple speckles, and maybe even a little bit of yellow here and again, and I love this so much. And then I went back and forth about this several times, but I just really liked both of these, and so I went ahead and picked up this as well. And the reason why I went back and forth is because you can see they're kind of in the same color family, but that's okay. I can have 2 pairs of socks that are in the same color family, can't I? Right? So this is a mini skein set, and it's obviously a gradient. I hope you can see this. The yarn is Studio Urban Needle and Fiber Arts. And they're not on Ravelry, and I wish that they would be, because I really like their yarn, and I love this colorway. It is called Neptune's Navel Lint. Isn't that great? So it's 100 grams. It's 100% superwash merino, but I don't have a problem with that for my socks, and I'm going to knit myself a pair of gradient socks. And like I did with my Fire and Ice socks, only I think I'm going to split them all in half and knit them appropriately gradient to match. Maybe I'll do them polar opposites, you know, start one with the dark color in the toe and then go to light, and then start the other one in the lighter color in the toe and then go to dark. We'll see how it goes, but I'm very excited about that. I really enjoyed the gradient scrappy set. I really enjoyed my Fire and Ice scrappy socks, and I've been looking to do more scrappy socks. In fact, I even joined a couple of swapless swaps in order to have some more larger minis, 10-gram minis, to be able to do more scrappy socks. So yeah, looking forward to doing these. And that's it, guys. I have other yarn that should be here any day. In fact, next week should probably be a larger stash acquisition section. But yeah, that's all that I've got for today. Going to be a short one. That's okay, right? So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and happy knitting. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.